The following program is sponsored. The opinions and statements made by the hosts and guests do not necessarily reflect the views of WBOB or its parent company, the Chesapeake Portsmouth Broadcasting Corporation.
WBOB AM 600 The Answer is proud to present Tula's Tips for Caregivers. Help is on the air with Tula Wooten, your source to go for resources and information to help you in this rewarding but sometimes challenging role. Tula's Tips for Caregivers is brought to you by Agewell Institute at Baptist Health, by Elmcroft Assisted Living and Memory Care, by the AARP, and by Bartram Lakes Brooks Assisted Living. To participate in today's show, call 904-222-TALK. That's 904-222-8255. Now here's Tula.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm so happy to be back here again with you live this Saturday morning to talk to my listening audience, caregivers in all of Northeast Florida, and for those who listen on any of my digital stations. I'm really pleased to be with you today. For those of you who might be a first-time listener, again, my name is Tula Wooten. My background is actually medical social work. I did that for many, many years, working with frail elderly and therefore, of course, their family caregivers. And now I work full-time at Community Hospice and lead the Caregiver Coalition of Northeast Florida. And I've been doing this radio show since summer of 2009, every Saturday, to reach out to caregivers in our area and offer them encouragement, assistance, and connection to resources, because it's a hard job. There are 66 million of us in the United States caring for a loved one, and 44 million of us care for someone who is over the age of 65. A frail elder, and with that comes a lot of responsibility. I was just talking with my guest, who I'll introduce in a second, about all the responsibilities that come. It's not just the physical aspects of caring for your loved one, the functional tasks of helping them get dressed or bathe or be fed, or even taking them back and forth to all their medical appointments. It's also a lot of the responsibilities that you have to handle during the 8 to 5 work week. All the medical, legal, financial, administrative things that come with caring for someone who is a frail elder. They can't do it anymore. Many times you have to take over their finances and pay their bills and manage that whole aspect of their lives. And all of that combined can be very stressful. And so today I've got an answer in my guest who's going to help you with some of the financial and administrative parts of what we've just discussed. My guest's name is Mary Daniel, and she formed this great company called ClaimMedic, and I'm going to let her tell you about it. But first, let me welcome you, Mary.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
I am thrilled that you're here, and when you came to see me a few weeks ago to tell me about your new company, I thought, what a great idea. Why didn't somebody think of that sooner? So smart. So tell me, first of all, why you did this. Tell me a little bit about your own personal background, your work experience, and what led you to form ClaimMedic.
I have been working in the field of medical billing for over 30 years. I got my very first job out of college back in 1985, working for Louis Obey, a plastic surgeon in Jacksonville. And learned early on, dealing with plastic surgery insurance, that you have to be persistent and your claims are going to get denied and you have to fight hard. It has been an amazing lesson for me. I worked there for 5 years and then I went to work for MetLife. I was a provider relations rep, so I got to see the other side as well. So I know what it's like to work for an insurance company that has to pay bills and how that process works. And then I went back to medical management and spent the next 20 years managing medical practices, including medical billing departments. So when I started having family and friends have issues with their medical bills, many times I was asked to help and intervene, including my in-laws. I have handled all of their medical bills for the last 20 years. Lost both my parents, handled their medical bills. So it can be an extremely complicated process, and I have been very fortunate that I know how to do it. I have the background, I have the education from those many years to do it. So I decided maybe other people might need that expertise and that help too. And especially at this time in my life, my husband is now disabled. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 3 years ago. So I am the sole caregiver. This gives me an opportunity to be home a little more. I'm finding not a ton more, but it is a little nice that I don't have to be in an office 8 to 5 every day, and the timing was right to get started to help other folks, just like I have for family and friends.
This is such a great, like I said, a great service, great idea, because let's face it, we've all gotten medical bills that have overwhelmed us to look at them.
Most people don't look at them. They'll put them to the side and they become this very large stack of problems. And that's one of the things that I do. I tell people, do not go through them. Do not organize them. Just give me the box. I'll take the box. I know what to look for. I know how to go through them very, very quickly because it is overwhelming. You don't have time. You don't want to deal with it. Who wants to sit down and take the time when we're also busy doing everything else that we have required to do? So it is something that gets put aside because it's too overwhelming.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I've done the same thing. I am guilty. And in my purse today, I have a bill from somebody who says I'm 90 days now, and I owe them. And you know what? It's not that I don't have the money to pay them. I can pay them. It's that I kept putting that bill aside and sort of forgot about it because in the busyness of my day-to-day life, I just put it in the stack.
That's exactly what happens. And then you'll find I don't have the exact statistic in front of me, but there's a huge proportion of medical bills that lead to bad credit. That the majority of folks that do have poor credit do have some medical bills on that credit because they are very easily, when they're ignored, they're very easily can turn into a bad debt. Yeah. What I have found, though, with working with physician's office, with working with hospitals, they're very, very open to making payments, to making arrangements, that sort of thing. It's what they don't like is when they're simply ignored.
Right.
And so I can help organize those things so that they can actually get some attention and they know we're trying to work on them and get them paid.
I'm going to tell you also, everybody knows because I'm very transparent. I care for both my parents, but my 84-year-old father lives with me at home, and he's, of course, a Medicare patient, and we constantly get bills regarding my mom, for where she is and the care she's getting and the doctor's visits. And we also get Medicare EOBs, and then he gets statements from his Blue Cross Blue Shield, and he won't even look at them. He just says, here, and hands them to me. And I'm like, thank you.
And they go in that stack.
They go in that same stack.
Right.
It's a matter of you're already so stressed out with everything else you're doing, taking care of your loved one. That's just one more thing that if you can put it off, you're going to put it off. Absolutely. You don't have the time. You don't have the desire to learn. And you have to know. You have to learn. There are things that you need to know, or you're going to be taken advantage of. And what we decided a long time ago was that our motto, our mission statement for the business is we simply just want people to never pay a bill that they don't owe. That's it. And we all know people do that. Absolutely. Oh, all the time. I meet people all the time that pay bills that they did not owe. And the good news is I can help get that money back. That's great news because, let's all face it, we need the money that we need. That's exactly for our living expenses. And, I remember, and even in my social work days, talking to seniors who would get an EOB and think that was a bill and send in money. I spoke to someone recently from the Mayo Clinic who told me, well, we just pay the bill when it comes. Is that not what we should do? From the Mayo Clinic? And of course, they don't accept Medicare. So it gets very complicated. It's very difficult to understand. And I said, absolutely, please do not just pay the bill when it comes. There are always mistakes. My husband happens to be a patient at Mayo, and I'm very well known in their billing department because I talk to them on a regular basis just with his bills. Yeah. So it really is something that you need to look at. Do not let it sit on a shelf, and certainly don't pay it just because you got the bill. Yeah, and again, particularly our frail seniors who don't understand what they're looking at. See that number, think I owe it, go ahead and pay it. So that's where you're going to come in and help both the seniors and their caregivers. You're exactly right. You're listening to Tula's Tips for Caregivers on AM 600 and FM 100.3. We will be right back.
George, I got the job. Thanks, I'm so excited. They hired me on the spot right after the interview. It was that book I bought from Amazon, From the Interview to the Paycheck by Fred Haley. The book really taught me something. It helped me to think about what the boss wants. Then it helped me with answers that show that I can do the job. I could tell they were impressed when I introduced myself. I just followed the simple outline from the interview to the paycheck book, and I know I won the job with my first 90 days plan the book recommended. They said no one else had ever been so prepared. You should get the book. It's on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle. It's worth it if you want to get hired. Just search for From the Interview to the Paycheck by Fred Haley. Do it now.
Have you noticed that mom or dad seems to be slipping a bit? Forgetting appointments, skipping meals, repeating stories? You know they're not ready for a nursing home, yet they could benefit from some kind of help. Brooks Rehabilitation invites you to redefine assisted living at Bartram Lakes. Bartram Lakes Assisted Living offers care and services for adults who value choice and independence, yet benefit from 24/7 support. Our residents embrace life, develop friendships, and live life to its fullest. Our residents' families benefit from having peace of mind, knowing that Brooks Rehabilitation, a trusted name in Jacksonville healthcare for 40 years, is overseeing their loved ones' care. Come and visit Bartram Lakes Assisted Living. To schedule a tour, call 904-528-3515. That's 904-528-3515. Or visit www.bartramlakes.org.
Are you burdened with a loved one's medical bills and confused about who and how much to pay? Are there medical claims that have been denied? When you work with ClaimMedic, they review your bills for accuracy every month and deal directly with your insurance company to make sure you receive every benefit that you pay for and never pay a bill that you don't owe. At ClaimMedic, they offer free audits of up to 3 years of past medical bills to identify any past billing errors and recover overpayments you may have made. And their monthly bill review service will ensure that future bills are accurate before you pay. With ClaimMedic as your personal medical claims specialist, you can focus on what matters most, the health and comfort of your loved one, and rest easy knowing that their medical bills are managed by experts who care. Ready to start? Call 888-988-2985 to speak with a specialist or visit ClaimMedic.com. That's 888-988-2985. With ClaimMedic on your side, you'll never pay a medical bill you don't owe.
Hi, this is Tula, and I'm here to talk to you about Baptist's new Age Well Institute. Are you caring for a loved one who's 65 or older? Are you a boomer like myself who's caring for a parent? And perhaps your parent has been experiencing some decline in their overall health. Let me highly recommend to you the Baptist Age Well Institute. They have the only real geriatrician here in Northeast Florida who is able to look at the whole person. Their comprehensive approach includes a nurse, a doctor, a social worker, a pharmacist, a dietitian. They have their own physical therapy there. They can work with folks with memory disorders. My goal is to help you, the caregiver, find an organization that can care for your loved one who's 65 or older. I take my own parents there, and I highly recommend the Age Well Institute at Baptist. Please give them a call at 904-202-4243. Again, that's 904-202-4243. You'll be so glad you did.
Have you read the new book, Love Stories and Timeless Tips yet? It's by our own Tula Wooten with Tula's Tips for Caregivers. Tula is a caregiver too, as well as an expert on caregiving. You can get it in paperback or on Kindle at Amazon.com. The book is filled with touching stories of caregivers taking care of their loved ones. Each chapter has helpful ideas that we all can use. I love that Tula included a Tula's tip with each story. Her message to caregivers is clear. Take care of yourself so that you can take care of your loved one. This is a beautiful book for all caregivers to read, whether you're a part-time, full-time, or long-distance caregiver, or someone receiving care. You should get the book today. Just go to Amazon.com. Search for Love Stories and Timeless Tips by Tula Wooten. And now let's return to Tula's Tips for Caregivers, brought to you in part by Age Well Institute at Baptist Health, by Elmcroft Assisted Living and Memory Care, by Apex Home Health Care, by the AARP, and by Bartram Lakes Brooks Assisted Living. Once again, here's Tula.
Welcome back, everyone, to the show. I am really so excited to have everybody today, listening today, and to have my guest in, that I forgot to announce the gift certificates that I have to give away. If you call in and ask a question of Mary, or even make a comment, who hasn't received a medical bill they didn't understand? Call in today. I have 2 gift certificates for the beautiful Riverfront Cafe right there in the Riverside area. It's lunch for 2. there at Riverfront Cafe, and I also have a Starbucks gift card. And you can tell the producer which one you want and give him your name and address, and we will get that in the mail to you. So call in today at 904-222-8255. Let us send you a gift certificate. But more importantly, let us help you understand your medical bills and when to pay, when not to pay. And that's what Mary is an expert in. Mary Daniel is the owner of ClaimMedic. And, you know, Mary, we talked a little bit at the top of the show about why you started this business, and that really helped. It really resonated, obviously, with me. But tell me, what is a claims assistance professional?
That's a fancy title, claims assistance professional, for someone who knows how to organize, analyze, verify insurance claims. So we will do everything from auditing those hospital or doctor's charges. We will negotiate with providers on patient balances. Just because you may owe a balance doesn't mean that the provider isn't willing to negotiate that amount down so that you can pay it sooner, so they can get money on that sooner. Remember, doctors are used to taking reduced amounts for their charges. That's what insurance companies do. So they can charge whatever they want. Insurance companies pay less than what they charge. So they're very used to doing that. So it's something that we can do on your behalf because we have experience in doing that. We can file various types of insurance claims so that if something hasn't been filed or it needs to be refiled for an appeal, then we are more than happy to do that and more than capable to do that. And then we can contact the providers themselves. We can contact the insurance companies themselves to do that work for you. So you don't have to be the one on the phone explaining why this needs to be paid additionally or that why this needs to be written off. We do all of that for you.
That can take hours. That's just a lot of detail-oriented work there.
It can, yes. But when you know what you're doing, it makes it so much easier. And it really is a lot of work in very short increments. So when you make a phone call to the insurance company, you explain it to them. They then have to take it and work on it. So you have to wait. It can stretch out over time. Mm-hmm. But being persistent, being someone who is very organized, and so that every conversation is detailed. The follow-ups are very easy when you have an organized structure to work with. So once you have that in place, the work itself is very straightforward.
That's a wonderful service. I heard you say doctors will sometimes negotiate down
Absolutely.
what you owe.
Absolutely.
Who knew that?
And they do it all the time. Again, with an insurance contract, when they become a provider for all of these insurance contracts, they take a lesser amount based on what they charge. It's less than what they charge. All of them do.
Right.
So why would you have to pay them more than what they may be willing to take from someone else? But it's scary to call up and then you feel poorly. You feel like I don't want them to think that I'm poor. I don't want them to think, but I'm overwhelmed with medical bills. I have all of these. This is not the only one generally, especially with elder care. You have all kinds of doctors out there that they see. You have hospitalizations and that kind of thing. So there's a volume of them. And the doctors want to get paid. They'd rather take a reduction in the cost, in the expense, than actually not get paid at all.
Right.
So if you can reduce it down and promise them that they're going to get that money, they'll do it 9 times out of 10.
Can you give me an example when you've talked to someone about a medical bill or to a doctor's office and been able to reduce the rate for the client?
I have. I had a client not that long ago who was in a very difficult situation, was actually out of town, saw some non-participating providers because they were out of town. And then they got these large bills. They were larger than what they would have been if they had been in network with a participating provider. So I called the providers and talked to them, have a very good idea of what those participating rates are, asked them if they would indeed take those rates. And within 5 seconds, they said yes, they agreed to it. So it was a substantial reduction right off the bat, just a conversation discussing how the benefits had been paid. They were out of network because they were traveling. Would they be willing to take on this patient what they take on every other patient?
Right.
And they were happy to do it.
That's amazing. Most of us don't think to do that.
It doesn't even enter our mind. We don't know about participating and non-participating and what the difference of those fees are, or that doctors at all are used to having a reduced fee. I was speaking to someone not long ago, actually an attorney, and we were talking about the billing of how attorneys bill and the difference in how doctors bill. Mm-hmm. And they said, for instance, I was saying that, you can charge for a paralegal when a nurse, you can't charge for a nurse's billing. And they said, well, you build those prices into what you charge as a doctor. You have the wrong misconception of how that works. We doctors don't get to decide what they charge. The government, Medicare, decides what they charge, and then every other insurance company bases their allowables off of Medicare allowables. So a doctor doesn't get to decide, which is bad when you're the doctor. When you're the patient, however, it can work in your favor because they are used to taking reduced fees for certain contracts, and they're more than happy to work with you if you simply ask them.
And that's where you need someone like you to come in who has the background, skills, experience, knowledge, and gumption.
Correct.
To do it, because it takes some gumption.
It is very scary. You're asking when you call in and ask a stranger, basically in the billing department somewhere, for something for free that you feel like you're asking for some huge favor. It's embarrassing. It can be intimidating. And we can take that completely off the table. So let someone else handle it on your behalf, an advocate who knows what they're doing, who knows what to say, who knows what to ask for, and then you don't have to worry about that stress.
While you were speaking, I wrote down the word advocate, because that's what you are.
Without a doubt. An advocate on behalf of the patient to help them with a part of their care, especially in times of either as a caregiver, our parents, our family members are very sick. There's a lot of responsibility. We have things going on in our own life, but even for our own health.
Right.
I spoke to a woman just this week who had just had brain surgery in July. I'm not exactly sure of the diagnosis. I haven't gotten all of her paperwork yet, but I know she had actually 2 different surgeries. Wow. And she got a $7,000 bill from someone who came into the operating room who was non-participating with her insurance company. So they billed her $7,000. Now imagine, here's someone trying to recuperate
from brain surgery,
trying to get well. And maybe it's cancer, maybe it's, I don't know, and having follow-up care, are you having to have chemo, are you having to do other things? You're just trying to stay alive. Yeah. The last thing you want to deal with is a $7,000 bill that's come in the mail and scared you to death. Yeah. Now, not only are you sick, physically, but emotionally, and it's horrible.
It's horrible. And the volume of bills, particularly if you've been in the hospital and had any kind of an operation, any kind, the volume of bills is by itself overwhelming. You get bills from people you've never even heard of.
Without question. This is somebody she didn't even know, came into the operating room, was in the operating room when she was there.
It wasn't the surgeon who did the procedure.
It was not. Right.
Who can come in and stand there for 5 minutes and do something to charge
$7,000. Right. I mean, it's just scary.
It is very scary. And, we won't even go into this, but we do have one of the most, if not the most expensive healthcare system in the world. And costs continue to escalate. And as a result of that, and people not knowing what they should or pay, a lot of people have gone into poverty, and a lot of people have been put on the street.
Without question.
Due to medical expenses, and that should be unheard of in our country.
It truly should.
And I'll go down that rabbit hole another day. We're going to talk about. Let me say now that I'm a caregiver for both my parents, and I'm inundated with all these medical bills. What can a caregiver expect when they work with ClaimMedic?
We're going to make it much easier, and I can go into specifics about that. I've got a lot of different ways to make that stress completely go away.
Okay, and I know you have 2 different plans that you can work with, so
we do.
Let's talk about the ways you do that and your plans when we get back, okay?
Sounds great.
You're listening to Tula's Tips for Caregivers on AM 600 and 100.3 FM. Stay tuned. We're getting to the meat of the topic next.
Hugh Hewitt, Laura Ingram, Dennis Prager, The Savage Nation, Mark Levin, WBOB, AM 600. The Answer.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Italy is observing a national day of mourning today for the 290 people killed in Wednesday's earthquake. The state funeral was held today for 35 of the victims, most of them from one town. Heavy rain has swamped several areas of Kansas City. That's prompting high water rescues and a temporary stoppage of the city's downtown streetcars. KMBC-TV reported that last night's storms caused Brush Creek, which runs through the south side of the city, to go up by 10 feet in just 1 hour's time. Native Americans from reservations hundreds of miles away from North Dakota have joined the Standing Rock Sioux tribes, growing protests against a $3.8 billion four-state oil pipeline. They say it would be bad for the environment. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average yesterday gave up 53 points after news that the economy grew at a slow rate of 1.1% in the second quarter. This is SRN News.
It's been proven time and time again. The best way to keep your family healthy is to eat all natural foods. Grassroots Natural Market in Fleming Island is your best choice for additive-free meats, fruits, and vegetables. And best of all, their prices are competitive with the big box stores. Grassroots in Fleming Island also sells the top brands of vitamins and supplements. Grassroots Natural Foods in Fleming Island. Fresh food, fast checkout, and friendly people. Located by the theater at 1915 East West Parkway. Online at grassrootsnaturalfoods.com.
Come on back. That's good. Hi there, I'm Jeff Martin from Martin Appliance and More, and we just this minute got a huge trailer load of scratch and dent appliances from GE. We have refrigerators, ranges, washers, dryers, and more. They are brand new with full factory warranty and are great bargains. A small blemish saves you a bunch. A little bump saves you big bucks. A dent can mean hundreds of dollars in savings. Come see us at Martin Appliance and More in Orange Park on Blanding, just a mile south of Kingsley and across from Academy Sports and Outdoors. Find and like us at facebook.com/Martin Appliance and More to see pictures. Oh my! Here comes the Frigidaire truckload. We have a store full of appliance bargains. Hurry in, come get them and save at Martin Appliance and More. Come on back, truck driver, come on back.
What you see is what you get. Martin Appliance Family.
This is the Savage Nation.
Trump did not betray our veterans. Trump did not cripple our economy. Trump did not increase our debt to $20 trillion. Trump did not steal your rights. Trump did not violate the U.S. constitutional law or commit treason hundreds of times. And yet it's Trump. It's Barry Hussein Obama and Hillary Clinton, and the rotten establishment who have occupied our government.
Michael Savage, a host like no other.
The Savage Nation at 3 on WBOB. The Answer.
Dick Kravitz is a constitutional conservative Republican and is a proud supporter of your Second Amendment rights.
I'm Dick Kravitz, and I'm asking for your vote in this Tuesday's election. I've been endorsed by the Florida Times Union and the current State House District 16 Representative Charles McBurney. Council members Matt Schellenberg, Jack Webb, and Sharon Copeland have endorsed me as well, honoring my outstanding pro-life and sanctity of life voting record. Thank you. Paid political ad, paid for and approved by Dick Kravitz, Republican for State House District 16.
Stuck in traffic? WBOB has the answer.
Well, the roads are back to normal, kind of looking good. As for the weather, up to about a 30% chance of rain all weekend long. Otherwise, partly sunny during the day and partly cloudy at night with daytime highs around 90. Overnight lows about 77. More rain on Monday, 40% all day long. It is currently cloudy and 83 right here at AM 600 WBOB. The answer, back to Tula.
And now let's return to Tula's Tips for Caregivers, brought to you in part by Agewell Institute at Baptist Health, by Elmcroft Assisted Living and Memory Care, by Apex Home Health Care, by the AARP, and by Bartram Lakes Brooks Assisted Living. Once again, here's Tula.
Welcome back, everyone, to Tula's Tips for Caregivers. I'm so happy to have my friend and colleague Mary Daniel here with me today. She started a wonderful company called ClaimMedic, and her goal is to save you money on your medical bills. Tell me your tagline again.
Our tagline is, we hope that you never pay a medical bill that you do not owe.
And you don't have to. We are all inundated with medical bills if we have any touch points in our healthcare system. The bills take no time to come flooding your mailbox. And if you're like me, they can be overwhelming sometimes and hard to understand. And I've worked in healthcare for over 30 years and still have a difficult time with them sometimes. So that's when you need the assistance of somebody like Mary to help you go through the stacks. She'll do it for you. She won't help you. She'll do it for you. So, Mary, let's get into the meat of what you actually do to help people with their medical bills, and in particular, how it can help caregivers.
The most important thing that I can do is take that burden off. And here's how I do that. Generally, most people have bills sitting, as we mentioned earlier, in a stack somewhere, in a drawer somewhere, in a box somewhere. So I've had people say, well, I'm going to get those to you as soon as I get them organized. You don't need to do that. I can do that organization. So either stick them in an envelope, put them in a box. I will get them one way or the other, whether you're local and I can come get them personally. We can get them scanned. We can get them mailed. We have lots of choices there. But then I do some digging. I go through all of what you have and organize those, and I look for things that might need immediate attention. What kind of insurance do you have? I need to get some details about the plan itself, so I know exactly what your benefits are. And we can work it in two ways. Part of my business is based on historical audits. So I can go back, depending upon your insurance company, years. And even if you've paid for something that I can find in error that has been billed incorrectly, I can go back and get refunds for those. And when I do that, then I get a percentage of any money that I find. So that's a free audit. It's not going to cost you a dime for me to look at it unless I find you money. It tells you how confident I am that I'm going to find you money.
That's pretty cool.
So there is no risk whatsoever. I can take all those bills. I'll go through them. I contact them. You sign some paperwork so that I have the authority to call and act on your behalf when I talk to the insurance companies or the providers themselves. And then we go from there. So I can dig in, find what I need to find, contact insurance companies, contact providers, refile, things for appeals, that sort of thing. And when we find some money, then I get paid. The other part of my service is an ongoing service. So if you have parents, or you're a caregiver, or you yourself have health concerns that you have monthly bills. We mentioned previously the client that has just had brain surgery. I have clients that have breast cancer, have young families, have husbands, have jobs, and they don't want to deal with their medical bills ongoing. They prefer to concentrate on just getting well and taking care of their families. I have an ongoing monthly service. It's a subscription service. It's $49 a month. So everything comes to me. So you send everything again. We can work that. If you're like my father-in-law, who is 86 years old and doesn't have a computer and has no desire for a computer, I will provide envelopes to you to stick all of your paperwork in the mail to me so that I can get it one way or the other. We have lots of choices there, but I get that paperwork going forward, and I tell you what to pay before you pay. So the historical audit goes back and tries to find money that you paid incorrectly or that was paid incorrectly. The monthly service goes forward so that you don't have to worry about it going forward.
I love the historical audit. I've never heard of people doing that before.
It's very, very easy to go back and look through things and find mistakes. It happens all the time. And if you don't have the watchful eye, if you don't know what you're looking for, then you don't see it. But for me to be able to lay out on a conference table all of these pieces of paper and match them up accordingly by dates of service, by providers, by surgeries, that sort of thing, it's very, very easy to see some of the common mistakes that are made that are duplicative charges. Maybe right. People have charged double items. Two providers that saw you in the hospital charged for the exact same thing. Maybe it's balance billing. Maybe an insurance company was supposed to make an adjustment, or the doctor was supposed to make an adjustment off the claim that was instructed by the contract of the insurance company, and they didn't, and they billed you for the balance when it should have been written off. Those kinds of things are very, very easy to spot.
And they're very, very common because all providers, everybody makes mistakes. Big hospital systems make mistakes. Doctors' offices make mistakes. Labs make mistakes. Everybody makes them, but particularly for, again, I've worked with seniors for over 30 years. I know that there are a generation of people who they get a bill in the mail. I owe this. I write the check. I send it in. Proud, happy to be able to pay their bills. but don't think twice and don't look for any possibilities that there might be redundant billing or mistakes.
They trust. They trust that what they're getting is actually truly what they owe. And unfortunately, it is changing. We now have certified coders, and there are medical billing education schools, that you can get a certificate in medical billing. So it is becoming, it's better. But when I started 30 years ago, there was no certification. There was no education. I was very fortunate. Dr. Obi sent us to the American Medical Association to learn about coding, CPT coding, which comes out of the American Medical Association. So he really invested in his staff to be sure that they knew what they were doing. So I've been very fortunate. But most people in doctors' offices, and I learned this when I worked for MetLife. I went and visited the billing departments of hundreds of doctors, and many, many of them have no education whatsoever. Doctors sometimes aren't, and again, it's changing, but sometimes have not been the best businessmen. They don't take business classes in school. They're doctors, not businessmen, generally speaking. And so they don't invest as they should in those resources. I remember, I will never forget, one of the rules that have to be followed is that timely filing limit. You have to file a claim within a specific date. Time frame, yeah. 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, something like that. And we had a small office, a surgeon, a general surgeon, and I would go speak to the surgeon's one office staff. She had one female who did all the billing and was his medical assistant, did everything for him. And she was not getting the claims filed within the timely filing limit. So he was doing surgery for free.
Oh boy.
Now, sometimes maybe did she send the bill to the patient and the patient erroneously paid a bill because they thought that they owed it when they didn't owe the bill because the staff itself was making mistakes that disallowed that charge from the insurance company. They would have to write it off by their contract, per their contract. So those kinds of things can happen all the time and do.
Yeah, and those mistakes shouldn't be on the back of the patients.
That's exactly right. And they are.
Yeah, I like it that you can come in and do that. What are some of the most frequent billing errors that you encounter? We've talked a little bit about some of them, but are there anything else? Are there any other ones that stand out in your mind?
There are several. One of the biggest ones we see is this non-participating provider.
Yeah.
That because I'll give you an example. I had a client that had a $3,000 bill for a neuropsych evaluation by a psychiatrist. They were a dementia patient, and they got $3,000, and they said the psychiatrist was not participating. Well, everybody in the facility was participating, but not this one doctor.
Oops.
So they said, well, you should have asked.
Yeah.
You should have asked. Well,
no.
But you told me, right, that as the patient, that everybody there was participating. So because someone fell through the cracks for you doesn't mean that that's my responsibility. That took me a little while to get that work done. It took me a couple months to really get to the right people who could say, that is the mistake of the facility. It's not the mistake of the patient itself, but they wrote the $3,000 off. The patient did not have to pay.
Wonderful.
One of my, technically it's not a mistake, but it's one of the things that I see all the time that patients have to take the burden of is a well visit and a sick visit charged on the very same day.
Yeah,
legally they can do that.
Legally, they can do that?
Legally, they can do that. Ethically, they should not do that. And I've never worked for a doctor that did it because when you're going in for a well visit, it's covered 100% because of preventive care. So even if you have a high deductible plan, it will pay 100%. There's no charge to the patient to go because they're there to prevent or to see early signs of any illnesses to make it cheaper. So when it's well and sick on the same day, you don't have to pay for both. The sick will go to your deductible and you'll be billed for that. 99% of doctors' offices will write that off. Don't pay for a sick visit on the same day as a well visit. You don't have to do it.
It doesn't even make sense. You're saying the two terms together. Going to the doctor's office for a sick visit and a well visit at the same time doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't. But you'll have to pay for it.
Good Lord, you've taught me a lot already in this part of the show. Mary, you're a miracle worker for a lot of folks, and I'm really glad you're here. We're going to talk some more when we come back. You're listening to Toolless Tips for Caregivers Please stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Hi, everyone. This is Tula again, and I'm here to tell you about the Agewell Institute at Baptist Health. They're located in the San Marco area. I've been taking my own parents there for about 2 years now. Dr. Lance, the geriatrician on staff, has done remarkable things for both my parents and for me, the caregiver. They have great information, advice, and resources to help me. Dr. Lance and her team of social workers, dietitians, nurses, therapists, and the pharmacist have been so instrumental in helping me keep my own parents independent and living in their own home where they want to be. If you're looking for someone to either supplement the care that your primary physician is giving to your loved one who's 65 or older, or to perhaps become their primary care physician, I really encourage you to call the Agewell Institute at Baptist. Their number is 904-202-4243. Again, that's 904-202-4243.
Have you read the new book, Love Stories and Timeless Tips yet? It's by our own Tula Wooten with Tula's Tips for Caregivers. Tula is a caregiver too, as well as an expert on caregiving. You can get it in paperback or on Kindle at Amazon.com. The book is filled with touching stories of caregivers taking care of their loved ones. Each chapter has helpful ideas that we all can use. I love that Tula included a Tula's tip with each story. Her message to caregivers is clear. Take care of yourself so that you can take care of your loved one. This is a beautiful book for all caregivers to read, whether you're a part-time, full-time, or long-distance caregiver, or someone receiving care. You should get the book today. Just go to Amazon.com. Search for Love Stories and Timeless Tips by Tula Wooten. Are you burdened with a loved one's medical bills and confused about who and how much to pay? Are there medical claims that have been denied? When you work with ClaimMedic, they review your bills for accuracy every month and deal directly with your insurance company to make sure you receive every benefit that you pay for and never pay a bill that you don't owe. At ClaimMedic, they offer free audits of up to 3 years of past medical bills to identify any past billing errors and recover overpayments you may have made. And their monthly bill review service will ensure that future bills are accurate before you pay. With ClaimMedic as your personal medical claims specialist, you can focus on what matters most, the health and comfort of your loved one, and rest easy knowing that their medical bills are managed by experts who care. Ready to start? Call 888-988-2985 to speak with a specialist or visit ClaimMedic.com. That's 888-988-2985. With ClaimMedic on your side, you'll never pay a medical bill you don't owe.
George, I got the job. Thanks, I'm so excited. They hired me on the spot right after the interview. It was that book I bought from Amazon, From the Interview to the Paycheck by Fred Haley. The book really taught me something. It helped me to think about what the boss wants. Then it helped me with answers that show that I can do the job. I can tell they were impressed when I introduced myself. I just followed the simple outline from the interview to the paycheck book, and I know I won the job with my first 90 days plan the book recommended. They said no one else had ever been so prepared. You should get the book. It's on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle. It's worth it if you want to get hired. Just search for From the Interview to the Paycheck by Fred Haley. Do it now.
And now let's return to Tula's Tips for Caregivers, brought to you in part by Agewell Institute at Baptist Health, by Elmcroft Assisted Living and Memory Care, by Apex Home Health Care, by the AARP, and by Bartram Lakes Brooks Assisted Living. Once again, here's Tula.
Well, welcome back, everyone. My guest today is Mary Daniels. She is the founder and owner of a company called ClaimMedic. She will help you save money. That is the bottom line, or not pay on bills that you should not be paying on. And I love this service. So many of us are overwhelmed when we get our medical bills that we do, just like we've talked about. We put them over in a stack and let them stay. So if you are listening today and you are smart enough, brave enough, just to ask a question, please call in. And actually, I'm turning to the board now, and it looks like we have a caller. Mark, welcome to Tula's Tips for Caregivers. How are you today?
Good morning. Thank you, Tula. And good morning, Mary. I've been really fascinated with what you've been talking about. I had a question about, since you're always talking about doctors, about assisted living facilities or nursing homes, because my dad's in one, and this a normal charge, but sometimes they take care of the medications, and it seems like we get extra bills, and I'm not sure if we should be looking at those in much detail.
I think you always need to look at those bills in detail. Again, there are going to be people everywhere that just don't know all that they need to know to do it right every single time. So anytime, anything that you got that requires you to pay, and let me mention one thing too. Even sometimes we say, well, if my insurance company pays, what difference does it make? But if they're billing incorrectly, whether it's the insurance company that's paying too much or whether that comes down and filters to the patient and their family, they need to be correct. They need to be right. And I would always keep an eye on that because there's always adjustments. There's always deductibles. There's always ways that money is just, it gets confusing, and I would always keep an eye out.
Okay. So that, you think you're talking not just about my father and the person I take care of, but me too, my own medical bills or eye doctor bills or stuff like that.
Absolutely. Every single medical bill that you get, whether it's for your caregiver family or whether it's for you, has the potential and the likelihood that there will be a mistake.
Oh.
It happens all the time.
If we worked with you, would that just be on the one plan for me and my dad, or would they be separate?
It would be per individual.
Okay.
So that so the first part of it would be historically to go back and look at some of the bills that you've received to see at that point for you or him there is no charge unless we actually find money for you, unless there's actually a savings. So those services can be done for free. That's the free audit of that historical data. Going forward, it would be individually because there would be a lot of time for both, depending upon obviously. The father may have a lot more bills, obviously, because of his age and condition.
That's right. And if we don't have copies of the bills...
I can get copies of the bills.
Wow.
You can get copies?
I can.
That's good to know.
I can, yes. We can go in most insurance companies these days have portals, so we can just do it online. We can go online and pull them. And if not, we can always request. We can get from the insurance companies, we can request copies of the bills, and from the providers themselves. That's very easy to do.
That's good to know because I was just thinking I don't have those copies. Great. You've been a big help. Thank you very much.
I would love to help. Let me know if you need it.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much for calling in. We've all been in that boat, gotten those bills we don't understand. So let's talk a little bit about how we can better understand. What are some tips to help us understand our medical bills?
As boring as it sounds, you need to know what benefits you have. That's the perfect start. Most plans have a summary of care, a 1-page, maybe 2-page piece of paper that actually details specifically what is covered and what is not covered. That's huge because truly the burden falls on you to know who is participating and who is not participating. So when I go to a center, for instance, I go to Mayo Clinic and they're all participating with Blue Cross Blue Shield. They're participating with United Healthcare. I know that I'm covered and I'm safe there. So as I was speaking previously about somebody not being covered for a service there, that falls on the facility's problem. If I go somewhere and I don't look and I don't know that a provider is indeed out of network, then that responsibility falls to me. Mm-hmm. And you need to know, everyone needs to know what their benefits say, what their benefits cover, so that when you look at those bills, you can say, no, this doesn't make sense to me. No, we need to fight this. We need to call the doctor. We need to talk to somebody about it. Doctors are all paid based on a reasonable and customary amount. So, as I was also saying previously, they can charge whatever they want. If they have an agreement with an insurance company, they are required to write off the difference between what their charge is and what that reasonable and customary amount is by the insurance company, decided by the insurance company. That number varies depending upon insurance company. There is no one quote unquote reasonable and customary amount. So you need to understand that process as well. That sometimes that's higher for some insurance companies than other insurance companies. Same service, same doctor. So it can be confusing, but knowing what is reasonable and customary, knowing that a percentage has to be written off and looking for that adjustment on the bill is important. How many times have I seen a bill where the insurance company was paid, or the insurance company paid the doctor accepted that payment and then billed the patient for the full amount instead of writing off the contracted adjusted amount. It's a mistake. It's a little mistake.
An honest mistake, I'm sure.
Honest
people
mistake.
Pay it.
But people then pay it. You get the bill, you write the check, you pay it.
And they've been double paid.
That is correct. So it really is very, very important that you know just some basic information. And we live in a world of HSAs and CPTs and EOBs and EMRs and ACAs. I mean, it's crazy out there what you really need to know. But some basics, understanding that one-page summary of what your benefits are is really, really important and a very, very easy thing for you to do to help with your bills. Staying organized is another way to really help in the process. If you can stay organized with putting things together, putting doctors together, putting dates of service together, those kinds of things can make it a little bit easier for you as well, so that you're not overwhelmed. You can look for you can find what you're looking for. That really helps in the process, so that you know exactly where to find an EOB, for instance. An EOB is an explanation of benefits. It's what comes from the insurance company to show that they have paid the claim. You need to match that with the bill that you get from the doctor's office to be sure that everything on one matches the other. And it really is simple in that regard, that you can do it yourself. Mm-hmm. It's when they pile up and it's when they're overwhelming and when you do find those mistakes that you may need some help and you may need to hire an advocate.
I think all of us need an advocate. If you're touching the healthcare system in any way, if you're going to the doctor once or twice a year, or for heaven's sakes, if you're having other medical tests, lab work, x-rays, MRIs, or if you're going to the hospital, you need this person. You need Mary.
You have a specialist for all of your needs.
Yeah.
Don't we? We have cardiovascular and urologist and OBGYNs. We have all kinds of specialists in the world of medicine. And I consider myself the claims specialist, your medical claims specialist.
And we all need someone to help us with this. And the bottom line, Mary, is that when we've got you involved, you will save us money. You will keep us from paying bills we should not be paying.
That is exactly right. Exactly.
Mary, give out some information on how people can contact you. Give out your website. And
my
the phone
website
number.
is ClaimMedic.com. Please, I have a bunch of information out there. I would love for you to take a look. I've got some free articles about some of the things we've been talking about today. If you'd like to have that information, you can call me. My phone number is 888-988-2985. Or locally in Northeast Florida, that number is 904-770-5656.
Give the local number again.
770-5656 and at ClaimMedic.com.
Thank you, Mary, for being my guest today. This is a phenomenal service. I'm going to look into it for myself. Appreciate you here because you're here trying to help people. And that's what the bottom line is for all of us here. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Listeners, I will be out of pocket for the next couple of weeks, but I've got a couple of great shows lined up and some guest hosts coming to talk to you for the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned to Tula's Tips for Caregivers. Be blessed as you're caring for your loved one and put yourself at the top of your to-do list. Take care of yourself.